He picks up his phone, start acting like he texting and just throw it. You better be glad she didn't throw them bowls and knock you upside your head like you deserved, okay? Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host, Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about Love is Blind Season 6, Episode 9. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. We are now down to 4 couples, and by the end of this episode, I believe we'll be down to 3. The couples themselves give very toxic, but the season has been very entertaining. I can't lie. For me to be able to do a full review on each individual episode that they put out this past week, that means it was jam-packed full of entertainment. There was just so much to talk about, so I will give them that. Last season they had to cut half the season out, so I guess that is a step up. I'm gonna go ahead and start with Amy and Johnny. She met his family, and it was 2 of his sisters and the fiance of one of his sisters. Honestly, him and his sisters really could be triplets. Like, they look exactly the same, and their personalities are very similar. Like, you could tell that household is very loud. They are just very expressive people. It's really not much to say about it. They embraced Amy pretty much the entire time. They really didn't even ask too many questions. They were shocked that he was able to be deep. I guess because he's so silly all the time. They just came off very welcoming and supportive, and that's pretty much all I got from them. But they're not out of the woods yet because he still has to meet her dad, which seems like it's not going to be as easy as this family meeting. And 2, they still have to go over this whole birth control thing. I don't even know if I could predict what they'll say at the altar right now. So let's move on to Chelsea and Jimmy. Once again, we're picking up on the aftermath of their big fight, which they've had more than one, but this time he decided to leave. I guess he finally decided to come home at this point. He claimed that he only left because she threatened to leave, and she said she only threatened to leave because he called her clingy, and she wanted to get out of his space so he can not feel like he was so smothered, which makes more sense. And you just wanted to go. Stop acting like you like Chelsea. He's getting on my nerves with putting on this charade. We know you don't want Chelsea. You'll be surprised what you get the ick from when you don't actually like somebody. I was finna say if Megan Fox, child. If Jessica were saying those things to him, I don't think he would feel like it was clingy at all. But the fact that it was her, someone he's not attracted to, saying it, that's what's making it clingy. On the flip side, I do feel like Chelsea is clingy. I do feel like she's very insecure. I feel like she's a doormat at this point. For him to be able to just walk through that door and just say, I'm sorry, or whatever it is he said, and she just didn't give him much pushback. Like, oh, you just need to work on your delivery. Like, she really didn't set any boundaries. She just was like, just do better. Just shows how much she values herself, or lack thereof. Once a man tells you he wasn't here for you initiating intimacy with him, what more do you need? And so he was trying to walk that back and say, no, I love it when you do that. Chelsea, get a backbone, please. So then she met up with his friends who are women. And he said he's known them for 2 years, and they're the one that gave him advice on what ring to get. And Chelsea loves the ring, so they did a good job with that. She let them know that she had been married once before, and she feels like she's more mature and secure at this point. And Chelsea, I just would have to disagree. If you are more mature and secure now than what you were back then, I would hate to see how you was at 18. You have a very childish, immature view of relationships. So then she starts giving this BS answer that they always give to people when asking about their relationship. Oh, we're just so in love. I just feel seen. He makes me feel heard. All this other stuff, even though y'all fighting like cats and dogs. He didn't even stay at your apartment last night. He just came home today so y'all could put on his front in front of his friends. She really sat there and said how much they were in love and all this other stuff, but then gave a long list of why they shouldn't be together. So then she ends up telling them about what he said about her initiating intimacy and the fact that he didn't like that. I don't know if she was trying to embarrass him, but girl, it made you look crazy for still being there. And even told them that he cried while they were in the midst. You run your mouth too much. Who wants to be with somebody that's gonna say all of that? Like, I don't even blame him if he was turned off by that. Said that he called her clingy. And when they heard that, they was like kind of shocked, because they were like, well, he's the one who's normally clingy when he's in a relationship. That's how he normally is with his girlfriends. That's another red flag. If he's not like that with you, that means he don't like you. But yeah, they ended up asking her, like, how do you feel about him having female best friends? And she says she can't judge because she's best friends with one of her exes. They just realized they were better as friends. She doesn't have a leg to stand on when it comes to that. But on the flip side, she's had an ex cheat on her with someone else, supposedly his best friend. So everything is pointing to y'all don't need to be together. All right, let's move on to Clay and AD. He brings AD to a restaurant to meet his mother and his sister. It's funny and cute that the mother brought flowers to her, and AD also brought flowers to the mother. I thought that was a nice touch. You know, they were sitting down there talking for a while, and AD was getting cold, and Clay was just like, oh well, like, he didn't even offer his jacket, anything. In fact, his mother had to offer the shawl that she had on to her so AD could be warm. If that was my grandma, she probably would have popped him upside his head, like, give her your jacket, like, you don't know how to act. The mother asked AD what does she do for a living, and she is a realtor as well as a manager of a nightclub. And you know, her plans is to eventually renovate and flip homes, and she wants to be a landlord. Clay is an entrepreneur and he works long hours. I don't know, like, they kind of got into it out of nowhere. Like, we haven't seen them have this sort of conversation just yet. Maybe it just popped up because they just started living in the same place. From what I got from it, was she saying that he works from home, but he chooses to work from his own individual place instead of their shared place, and when he's done working, he doesn't come back to their shared place? That's what I was getting from it. Y'all let me know, because I was a little confused. She was like, yeah, I understand you're working and entrepreneurs have crazy hours, and she says she loves the hustle, she loves the ambition and dedication, but I'm sure there are certain moments where you could come back home. Why are you not coming home at night? I'm not quite sure what he does for a living, but he was saying that if I had to go to a property and I have to wake up at 5 a.m. and prepare the property for people to come over, and that place is an hour away, then he wants her to understand that certain times he wants to do things for convenience, and kind of dismissing what she's saying in the process. And I'm just thinking, like, even if you do have to get up an hour early, why don't you sacrifice that extra hour to spend the night there? Like, I'm not understanding what the real problem is. It sounds like he was making a bunch of excuses. Then he tried to throw in her face, well, you work the nightlife and your hours just haven't started yet, so we don't even know how our hours are gonna clash. You're gonna be coming home late all the time anyway. They really did have a back and forth in front of his mom, and to the point where the mom was like, well, let me sit back and have a drink because this is getting good. Like, I felt like that's a conversation that could have been had later. Like, I don't know, I probably would have said, let's table this and have this conversation when it's just us two. I feel like when you are in a relationship with somebody, y'all should be a united front. And I'm not saying that you can't have disagreements in public, but when it starts getting heated, I mean, he really was popping off a little bit to the point where she was like, whoa, calm down, okay? We need to reel this in and talk about it another time, because you getting too hype right now. The mother decided to jump in. She was like, look, I have 20-some years of experience in marriage. And I'm just sitting up here like, girl, 20-some years don't mean nothing if the whole marriage was toxic. You was being cheated on the whole time. But anyway, and I'm not even trying to go in on the mama, but it's like, sometimes you got to understand where you're taking advice from. Is it coming from a healed place, or are you still coming from that toxic mindset you had when you was married to this man and staying with him all those years while he was cheating on you? She wanted to give a little something to AD, so she tells her, you know, he's an entrepreneur, so you will have to understand his work schedule. Certain times it's just going to be off the wall. I feel like she said that so she wouldn't seem like she was just getting on her son all the way. But she does turn to Clay and makes it known that you make time for what you want. If you want to be with this woman, you're going to have to sacrifice whatever you were doing before and compromise. Really, you should want to do it because you want to marry the woman. So why don't you want to spend time with and get to know someone that you're going to be with for the rest of your life? And I feel like he's just showing where his priorities are already. I think he's showing that he'll easily throw her on the back burner for whatever else, and you're already having this struggle of saying you're so scared you're going to cheat. You need to come home. You're the main one that need to come home, because an idle mind is the devil's playground, and who knows what you'll do if you have too much free time. So obviously she's going to be a little bit weirded out that you're not coming home. And AD, once again, you're ignoring all of the reasons why you shouldn't even be with this man. So finally, let's discuss Laura and Jeremy. The plot twist with Jeremy is astonishing. Laura's parents and her brother and his wife come to visit. And before they came, she told Jeremy that, you know, while she respects her parents' relationship, she wants something different. She feel like they coexist with one another, but they're very complacent and comfortable is what it sounds like. No romance or fun or anything like that. So once the parents get there, they ask him what was his intentions of coming on this show, and he says he's had bad dating experiences, and he was like, you know, what's the worst that can happen? They give everybody a psych evaluation, a background check, and just, you know, if you come on this show, you have good intentions. And it's like, have you seen the show? There have been several people that have been off their rocker on this very show. Last season alone, they allegedly edited out 2 of the couples because the men were doing the women so dirty. And also, you don't think people just come on this show for TV? Low-key, I feel like that might be the reason why you here. But let's move on. I think Laura brought up the fact that they were in a love triangle, and she told him to tell them about the DMs or whatever. He was like, no, I want to hear from your perspective. I thought it was crazy that they were even going to talk about that right now. But she let them know that Sarah messaged him, and he liked the message that was basically saying, if you feel like you made a mistake, then we should talk in person. She thought that was out of line. The sister-in-law was like, well, maybe next time don't heart it, just give it a thumbs up. Girl, please. I'm gonna need for you to set that woman straight. I'm gonna need for you to let her know I am with the love of my life. There will be no going back and forth. We can be cordial, but that's about it. I'm gonna need you to shut it all the way down. And that's what Laura was saying. Don't acknowledge it because you're leaving the door cracked and you're still giving her hope. The next thing you know, when we see them, both of them looking real somber. Well, he's looking somber and she's looking like she could just, like she could two-piece him. Basically, she confronts him because he was out until 5 a.m. the night before. And the bar that he was at closes at 2. So where was you at? He claims that they were at one place, but the friends wanted to go somewhere else. He said halfway to the new location, he found out that Sarah was coming, and he was going back and forth over whether or not he should go, but he decided that he's not going to let her dictate what he does. I can't believe he said some of this stuff. So he said when he finally saw her, she gave him a dry hug and walked away from him, and he felt some type of way about that. Why do you care? So clearly you care so much about her feelings that you wanted to make it right. So he claims that he pulled her to the parking lot and they talked right there until 5 a.m. Laura was like, all of this could have been avoided if you had answered that DM appropriately. You left the door open and you even followed her back. He was like, but I shared my location with you. And she was like, okay, y'all could have been all over each other at that location that you sent to me. Was I going to get up in the middle of the night to go see what you were doing? And she claimed that she was asleep. but put a pin in that. And she was like, I don't even want a relationship where you have to send me your location and I have to constantly, you know, inspect where you are. And I feel her on that. I would never want to be in a relationship where I constantly feel like I have to look in his phone or check what he's doing. Like, if we don't have that sort of trust already, what's the point? So then Laura was like, well, do you want to talk about where you were really at last night? And he was like, no, I don't want to talk about it this second. What? He sounded like a little kid. No, not this second. Basically, she caught him up in a lie. He said he was at a particular place, but when she actually checked where he was, it wasn't even in that part of town. In fact, it was in the part of town that Sarah lived in. And it makes sense that he wanted to send Jimmy a picture of Jessica talking about she looked like a Kardashian, because he didn't want to be the only one doing dirt. Okay? It takes one to know one. If you don't want to be with her, just break up with her. I just don't understand going through all this charade. I don't understand all the sneaking and lying and dipping off and, you know, pretending to share your location, but not thinking she's actually going to be able to check it because she's asleep. Everything about you is sneaky and deceptive, and I knew something was wrong when you said that you had never been in love until Laura. This is how you treat the first love of your life? That didn't even sound right when you said it, and I knew something right then was off with you. And Laura was like, and I'm supposed to meet your mother, and I'm supposed to be telling her how much I love you, and you know, she's gonna be looking at me like, who wants to be my wonderful son, and I can't even stand looking at you right now. And so she stormed out. She said, I want out. And you know, he picks up his phone, start acting like he texting, and just throw it. You better be glad she didn't throw them bowls and knock you upside your head like you deserved, okay? Looking back, you could tell that he is very disingenuous, but he's very charming. So he's good with reeling people in. I don't know. I just didn't see this coming. I just didn't. And I'm going to be doing a separate video talking about the scandal that's going on with Jeremy. I'm going to try to get that video up soon after this one is posted. But y'all, it's even more. I really didn't expect for Jeremy to be the villain of this season. There's many villains, to be honest. It's so much deeper than what we thought. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this review down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I'd love to hear your opinion. Also, let me know what you think about this season so far. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.